the students that apply the earliest are going to be the ones that are going to actually receive this money, because most of them have priority deadline dates. All colleges have priority deadline dates, so you need to go on their website, go under financial aid to determine what is their deadline date, so you can make sure you do your application by then, okay? The reason I encourage people to apply early, a lot of students have had changes in their income. The parents are working and no longer working, something has happened, okay? So you want to give yourself enough time in case if you need to update your financial aid, you can. So financial aid for this coming fall is based on 2017 income. So if there's been a drastic change between 2017 and now, then you want to fill out your financial aid form using 2017 income, and then you want to request that it be updated. And you'll contact the college financial aid office to find out what can you do. For example, parents receive child support all the way up until you turn 18. They're no longer receiving it now. That can be a change in income. The parents were working full-time, they're no longer working now, or they're working part-time. They may have worked 2 jobs, they're only working 1 now. A lot of times, especially during your senior year, parents will draw money out of their 401k just to buy you a car, okay, because you want to drive back and forth, or they want you to get in practice before you go off to college how to drive, okay? So these are things that elevate the income, but you want to make sure your financial aid is going to be based on the income your family is going to currently have available to them. College is very, very important, as she just mentioned, and it is a vehicle that opens up many, many doors for you. I have a niece, and I'm just giving you an example. I have a niece who attended Chesterfield High School and graduated from here, went to college, went to Clemson, and moved over to the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. She graduated and had such a high GPA in biology and chemistry. Everybody in this room knows of Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson offered her a job. What they did was they sent her immediately to Cincinnati, Ohio for training. They told her at the end of 2 years, her income would be in the 6-digit field. That's pretty good, isn't it? She began going in and out of hospital showing doctors how to use new medical equipment. Today, she actually works for a company where she shows doctors how to use robots to do heart operations. So it's not where you came from, it's how you apply yourself. Your classes are going to be very important. Your grades are going to be very important. Y'all know right now, if you graduate from high school with just simply a B average, that's $5,000 going to college through the Life Scholarship Program. So there's grades are very, very important. The National Association of Financial Aid Administrators put together a PowerPoint presentation. I may not go over it just every slide, but I just want you to know how financial aid is calculated. Let me see if I can get this to work. Okay, what is financial aid? Financial aid is money to help you pay for your costs in going to college. When you're looking at the cost of attendance and going to college, just understand the financial aid department put together the cost of attendance using these different components. These are direct expenses, which are actual charges, okay? What you will actually pay in tuition and fees, what you will actually pay them for room and board or books and supplies. But they include indirect charges as well, an estimated amount as of what they would charge, what you would average paying in transportation or in personal and miscellaneous expenses. When you do the financial aid form, what they do is determine how much the family can contribute towards the student going to college. That contribution is going to consist of how much the student is able to contribute based on their finances and how much the parents are able to contribute based on their finances. So what the financial aid office does is they take the cost of attendance, they subtract how much the family is expected to be able to pay based on the family, based on the FAFSA form, to arrive at your financial need. And that's how financial aid is awarded. The college financial aid department tries to give you money through different sources to meet that financial need. Okay? There are different categories of financial aid. You have financial aid that's based on need, and that's determined by the financial aid form, as well as financial aid that's not based on need. There are different types of financial aid. They're categorized as self-help aid or gift aid. It can include grants, normally grants are free gifts of money that does not have to be paid back. It could be scholarship loans or even part-time jobs working. You have different sources of financial aid. The federal government provides the largest source. In other words, they have the most programs where you can apply. But the state have programs, colleges and universities have programs where they offer students aid. There are private sources, local scholarships and different things. Even places where you work, Burger King, McDonald's, Walmart, all have scholarships. And you need to apply because guess what? These scholarships here and there, $50 and $100 here and there, it adds up. I have another niece who was known to be a nerd throughout high school. Why? She was always on the internet searching for scholarships. Guess what? She went through the University of North Carolina. Excuse me. She went through Davidson College up in North Carolina. She went free of student loans because she applied for scholarships. I'll be honest with you. I've never seen as many students that are not willing to do applications for scholarships as I have recently. People are not willing to write essays, you know. Make sure you apply because, again, this is free money that can help reduce the amount of loans and stuff that you will actually be receiving. As I told you, the federal government provides the largest source of financial aid for students. Normally through the federal government, the money is awarded based on financial need as determined by the FAFSA form. You have to apply each year and you have to meet certain eligibility requirements. Some of the federal programs include the Pell Grant. The federal Pell Grant is the largest program, and normally that's the starting point for any financial aid department to look to see if you're eligible for. Even at Northeastern Tech, we probably have over $4 million awarded out to students through that program. Okay? The federal supplemental grant, what it does is add a little extra money basically to the Pell Grant. It gives students that have a high financial need a little extra money. For example, work study. Work study allows you to work on campus or off campus part-time. And you actually earn this money and receive a paycheck. The federal programs also include student loans as well as the PLUS loan, and the PLUS loan is a parent loan to an undergraduate student. So all of those programs are determined, the eligibility is determined by the FAFSA form. The state uses the FAFSA form to determine your eligibility for a lot of state aid programs. You know, for example, you're a resident of South Carolina. As long as you do a FAFSA form and do it before June 30th, if you're planning to attend a private college, you're automatically considered for a tuition grant. Okay? we use some of the state programs at Northeastern. The largest one is a lottery program. But they look at your residency. They award money based on merit and on need. In other words, based on merit, as I mentioned earlier, graduate with a B average, you can automatically get the life scholarship. If you go into a 4-year college, you have to have either a certain rank or a certain SAT or ACT score, okay? The deadlines vary as far as when you should apply, but the earlier you apply, the more likely you are to receive some aid from these programs. A lot of colleges have programs where they award money to students as well. For example, let's say they need extra help in the library, you might apply for an institutional part-time job, okay? Again, the deadline vary, but they use the FAFSA form to determine your eligibility. You need to always look and see what sort of monies is available through foundations, businesses, churches, civic and other charitable organizations. These ladies putting on this program today, through their sorority, I'm sure they have funds available for students, but places where your parents work, churches, a lot of the civic organizations, Women of the World, there are so many places where students are getting money. So make sure you apply for what's available locally. Now here at Chesterfield High School, they put out a monthly newsletters of all scholarships that are available that they are aware of. But if you go to the internet and just type in scholarships, there's so many websites that have come up where you can apply. You know, whenever I was searching for scholarships, and I played basketball when I was here, there was a Carolina Tall Girl Scholarship. I mean, it's weird, right? But there's so much money out there. I have another niece that applied and won a scholarship valued at $80,000. It paid $20,000 for 4 years. Okay? Don't rule yourself out. You're saying, wow, that's a lot of money. But do you know how much it costs to go to college? Have any of you really looked at the cost of the colleges? You can probably average at least $10,000 a semester. You're looking at an average of probably at least $20,000 at minimum a year to go to college. Because you're looking at not only paying tuition fees, books and supplies, room and board, meal plan, you know, it goes on and on. So it's expensive going to college. That's why it's so very important that you apply and you apply early so that you get as much money as possible and as much free money as possible to go to college. Okay? As I mentioned, a lot of employers, maybe where your parents work, maybe where you work, they offer scholarships to students, so make sure you apply. The FAFSA form. The FAFSA form is a form, it stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. That is a common form that all colleges use for students to apply for financial aid. And that's what you're going to fill out and complete every year. That form, first of all, collects demographic information about you, your name, address, birthday, social security number, your marital status, driving license number, just demographic information. And then it asks for some financial information from you. Did you work in 2017? If so, you put your income down. Let me go back and just kind of mention one thing. Work study, working on campus is an awesome, awesome deal. And I tell you why. When you do financial aid, you put the income down, but then you'll go back and indicate that it came from work study. They don't consider it against you. Now you go out here and get a part-time job at McDonald's or anywhere else, guess what? They're going to expect you to be able to contribute a portion of that money towards your morning college. So work study is an awesome deal. And it also, in statistics indicate students that work on work study have better grades, because they begin to understand how the college works more, okay? But the colleges, as I said, use the expected family contribution to award you financial aid. And again, that family contribution is the same whether you're going to a college that costs $40,000 or going to a college that costs $20,000. The FAFSA form can be filled out beginning October 1st. So the seniors, if you haven't done so, I would encourage you this upcoming week, get a FAFSA form done. Okay? I will be at Central High School on Monday from 4 to 6 for anybody who needs some help with doing a FAFSA. You can come, bring your parents with you, bring the tax returns with you. We'll actually complete the FAFSA form. Okay? Now this is early. What they wanted to do is the Department of Education wanted to allow the seniors to be able to apply for college and financial aid at the same time. Because in the past, well, my parents hadn't filed a tax return yet, or they were waiting on this, and you missed valuable deadlines. So they went back and made it use prior year. There are different ways you can complete the FAFSA. You can go over the internet on FAFSA on the web and complete it. You can download a student aid mobile app. You can do a paper FAFSA form. You can do it on the phone, or the financial aid department can do it through a system called FAA Access to CPS Online. There's a lot of benefits of doing the FAFSA form over the internet because it will skip certain things based on your answers that you're not required to fill out. Or let's say you put down there's 10 people in the household, it may question that you might not have understood what it was asking. Or you put down 10 people in college, you know, hey, out of my family, 10 people went to college. No, that's not what they're asking. It's going to go back and highlight it and question you to look at that again to make sure you filled it out right. It also gives you, when you do it online, an option to link it to the IRS and actually transferring the income over. Most financial aid applications are selected to go through a process called verification, and the college is going to ask you for a lot of information. Okay? If you use this data retrieval tool, basically when you indicate you've already filed a tax return and they'll ask the filing status, let's say you file single, the next thing it'll have is a box that says link to IRS. If you click on it, it's going to take you over to the Internal Revenue Service website, and basically when you put in your address and submit it, it should pull up your income, and you'll be able to mark it and just transfer the income over to the FAFSA form. And that saves a lot of time. And I say that no matter where you or your parents went and had your tax return done, we can't accept it. If we ask you for a tax return, you have to get it from the Internal Revenue Service. So you have to get a transcript, and that takes more time. So that option has saved a lot of errors and a lot of time. When you submit a FAFSA form over the internet, it averages taking 3 to 5 business days within the processes. You can put as many as, I think, like 10 colleges on your FAFSA form. You're filling out one form, because for you that haven't decided where you're planning to attend for sure, you got a couple of colleges in mind, send it to all of the colleges doing one form. Okay? So, and if you have a question, well, what are they asking for here? They have detailed help online when you're doing it using the online version. And you can always check your status. It simplifies it. You apply it the next year. When you go back to the FAFSA.gov website next year and hit returning student, it's going to already have your name, your address, your birth date, your social security number, your driving license number, stuff that doesn't change. It's already going to be populated for you. This is what the FAFSA.gov website looks like. And I'm going to just stop for a minute. What I'm telling you is detailed on the sheet that has Northeastern Tech at the top of it. But Being the first time you've applied for financial aid, you will go here and click Start Here. Next year, when you go to apply for financial aid, you go to the Returning Student section. All right, so basically, when you go and click Start Here, you're going to click that you are the student. The next thing you're going to do basically is click where it says Create One. You and one of your parents must set up what's called a FSA, a Federal Student Aid ID number. This is very important, very, very important. This serves as your legal signature on your financial aid form. They won't process it until you sign it and one parent signs it, okay? And every year from this point forward, when you go to apply for financial aid, you've got to use this same FSA ID. So when you set it up, please write it down. Put it in your phone as a contact or something, okay? Have your cell phone available when you set up the FSA ID, because they'll send a secure code number to your phone to verify you are who you say you are. Okay, so very, very important. That's where you click. When you click, this is your first time, you click I am the student. Okay, so, or again, you can do it, download the mobile app and complete it that way as well. When you use the mobile app, your information is protected. Okay, so no one, you create a safe key so nobody can access your information, okay? So basically, you put in a username and password, that FSA ID, and then you create a safe key. So your information is secure. You can track your information, you'll know when it's completed, okay? You can provide a digital signature when you use the mobile app. It will give you confirmation that they received your application. It will even estimate how much the family is able to contribute. As I told you earlier, the data retrieval tool with the Internal Revenue Service allows you to gather your parents or your information from the IRS and actually transfer it over to your FAFSA form. So it reduces a lot of errors. Some people cannot file and use the data retrieval tool because, let's say they're not a U.S. citizen, first 3 digits of the Social Security number are 666. They got married after January 1st, so you didn't have to file a joint tax return or whatever. So there's certain people that might not be able to use the FAFSA. This is basically where you go to create the FSA ID. So you notice you start off by entering an email, confirm your email, set up a username, set up a password, and then confirm what your password is. The FAFSA form is going to collect information on you, such as your Social Security number, your citizenship status, marital status. Have you ever been convicted of a drug violation? Are you, young men, have you registered with Selective Service? You can register within 30 days of turning age 18. You are required to register with Selective Service by then, or they won't process financial aid, okay? Has anybody registered with Selective Service? No? You're not that age yet? Okay, all right. So how do you register with Selective Service? Do y'all know? All you have to simply do is go to www.sssselectiveservicesystems.gov, okay, to do the Selective Service. You can also mark it on your FAFSA form to authorize them to register you with Selective Service. So you can go ahead and do your FAFSA form now and authorize them to register you, and within 30 days of turning 18, they will register you with Select Service. They'll ask you questions to determine your dependency status. Do we have anyone, and I'm not trying to peek you out, but do we have anyone that lives with someone other than their parents? You live with your grandparents, you live with aunt, uncle, somebody other than your mom and dad? Okay. All right. On the FAFSA form, we're talking parents' information. Who is the parent? It's the parent you're living with. Not who claims, it's who you're living with. If it's not your mother and father, okay? If the parent you're living with is your mother, and your mother has remarried, it's your mother and stepfather's income. If you're living with your father and your father has remarried, it's your father and stepmother's income. It is never grandparents' income. It's never your aunt or your uncle's income. Okay? So they ask you around 13 questions on the financial aid form to determine if you're considered independent or dependent. Independent student will be one that will answer yes to one of the questions that they ask. If you answer all no, you're considered dependent. So a dependent student must provide parents' income. Independent student only provides their information. They're going to ask you information about their income tax, as well as other taxable or untaxable income, as well as they'll ask you a little bit of information about the parents' assets. Do they have a cash savings and checking account? Do they own any investments? Do they have a business or farm? Okay? They're going to ask the same information about the student. So the student has to report their income first, then the parents have to report their income and information next. They'll ask you about where you want your financial aid application, the results sent. What colleges do you want to have it sent to? Again, you can put down, I think, as many as 10 colleges initially on your form. So you're filling out one financial aid form, and if you haven't decided for sure where, put down all the colleges, okay? That way, they will all have it, okay, for whichever one. You decide you're not going to anybody you put on your form. You can pull your application back up, add another college, submit it. 3 to 5 days, they got it. It's just that quick. They're going to ask you about your housing plan. Are you planning on living on campus, off campus, or with parents? The signatures are required. That FSAID is required. One for the student, one for the parent. Okay? Again, they won't process the application without it being signed. Be careful. A lot of the frequent errors made on the FAFSA form, including writing down the wrong or transposing some of the numbers in the Social Security number. Who as a parent you're providing the information for? Oh, my mother's remarried, but that's not my daddy's. No, as long as she's married, you gotta provide step parents' income as well, as long as they're together. So that's a frequent error. Income earned by parent. A lot of times people, oh, my mama earned $12,000, my daddy earned $12,000 too. No. Error. The untaxed income. Oh, they get $500 a month so child support. No, they got $500 for the whole year. You know, frequent error. They're asking for yearly amounts, but those are just some of the things. The family size is the people that your parents are supporting. Mother, father, you, and anyone else that parents are providing more than happy to support for. So basically, when you submit the FAFSA form, it goes to CPS, which is the Central Processing Center. Then they process it. They'll send it to the college. They'll send you an email to let you know it was processed, and you'll be able to pull it up and view it in case you submit your application. You say, oh, I forgot to put something on it. You wait till they process it. You can go back once they send you an email letting you know it was processed. You can make any corrections you need to make, okay? This, when you get an email notification, basically they send you what's called the student aid report. Again, it summarizes everything you put on the FAFSA form. If you didn't provide a valid email address, then they're going to mail you a student aid report in the mail. One part of it says, you told us this, the correct answer is this, in case you need to make corrections to it. The college receives a institutional student aid report summarizing all of the information you put on your FAFSA form. Again, you can make corrections very easily. You can actually pull your application back up and make the corrections and submit it. And a lot of time people, oh, I forgot to put this, they go back and put it, but it's not processed unless you submit it, okay? They're here in my office on registration day. Oh, I did my FAFSA form while I was in high school. Guess what? You never submitted it, okay? So making corrections is not a hard process. Again, if you have special circumstances, things have happened that affects how much your family is able to contribute towards your going to college, please let the financial aid office know. Oh, I had to pull money out of my 401k because my mom and dad were getting old and I had to renovate my apartment so that they could stay and I could be right there to help them. Any unusual circumstances with you and your family, the financial aid office needs to know, okay? It could be unusual medical expenses, the death of a spouse, loss of employment, divorce, any of those things. If you have not been made aware of it, high school students are able to participate in what we call the dual enrollment experiment program. The Department of Education looked at this area, and guess what? They approved high school students to be able to get assistance through the Pell Grant program while they're in high school. What does that mean to you? Guess what? I'm going to use an example. My son, by the time he graduated high school, he almost had his first year of college out the way by taking classes while he was in high school. Okay? Can I have a show of hands? Anybody who's taken some classes with us already? Okay, 3. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Make sure you take advantage. You know, a lot of high school students are receiving assistance through the lottery program, okay? The school district is paying so much of their tuition, so they're basically taking the classes free of charge. Take advantage of this unique opportunity, because guess what? You got Florence, Darlington, and all these other colleges saying, I want to participate in this. But guess what? The Department of Education only approved Northeastern Tech as the only college in South Carolina to participate in it. So they want to see what you're going to do with it. We don't want to turn no money back in. We want to use every bit we can get. So take advantage. You know, I realize some of you are seniors, some of you are juniors maybe, okay? Still have an opportunity of taking some classes, lightening that load when you get ready to transfer. Young men, young women, if you're athletic, you know, guess what? Called my son one Friday morning, I hope I didn't wake you up. He's like, Mom, I've been on the football field since 5:30 this morning. Okay? You're going to practice. You're going to be going places, other colleges, and play against them. You know, help lighten your load by taking some classes in college. You know, for example, that first semester I thought, he's going to be playing sports and he's never really been away from home. And wow, hey, instead of taking 5 and 6 classes with instructors who feel like you have nothing but time to do homework for them, I let him take less classes because he had taken all these classes with us while he was in high school, and they gave him transfer credit for it. Okay, so take advantage of this opportunity because again, other colleges are just dying. How did y'all get that? You know, can we get it? Can we get in on it? Or can our student go to your school? You'd be amazed at what we're getting from this. But we do have this dual enrollment program, and we do want students to take advantage of it. Okay? So that was a presentation put together by the National Association of Financial Aid Administrators for us to use with talking to students about financial aid. As I told you, financial aid is a very important process. It's probably going to determine what college a lot of you may attend. How much money can you get? Okay? So it's a very important process. Make sure you complete your FAFSA form as soon as next week if you are a senior. Okay? Don't delay. You got students competing for that money. You got thousands of applications that's already been processed for this upcoming year. You want to get your name in that pool just as quickly as you can. Don't delay. Realize again, your grades need money. So do the best you can in your classes. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to use Chesterfield High School. I know a student who graduated Chesterfield High School as valedictorian. Went to college and within the end of her first year, was flunked out of school. Education has to be your #1 top priority. And right now, right this very minute, this very second, you got to stop and realize what you're doing right now is going to affect the rest of your life. That's what you've got to realize. It's going to affect the rest of your life. So this is very serious. College is very serious. It's an exciting time, things to do, people to meet, places to go. But the education has to be the #1 top priority. When you come home over the summer, a lot of students take college courses with us and transfer that credit back to their college. Some colleges participate in what they call a consortium agreement, so that if you have any financial aid available, that they will allow us to use, basically, or allow you to use. Basically, if you enter into a consortium agreement, our college will bill them for your tuition and fees. Not all colleges do it, okay? But consider taking some classes to help lighten your load when you go back to college. You know, the summer it was 9 weeks. We offer online classes, on-campus classes. So it's very easy to take some college credit and transfer that credit back. Over the Christmas break, we have what we call a wintermester. Students, while they're coming home for Christmas, take a 3-week class. Hey, I'm finished with that course. I'm transferring it back. We have what we call a Maymester. 3-week classes. Okay? When I was at Coker College, I took as many Maymesters and wintermester classes as I could. Quick. I got it right here. Okay? It's tough. I go through a book like that in a matter of a couple of weeks with a lot of material, but you can do it. Okay? Do we have any questions about financial aid? Any questions at all?
So with the courses, how does that work? How do you transfer? You know what I'm saying?
How do you transfer credit? We have what we call the Associates in Arts and Associates in Science program. Basically, the Associates in Arts is anybody who wants a degree in English, history, sociology, psychology, business law, or education. We have the Associates in Science program is for anybody who wants a 4-year college degree in any science-related field. Okay? And I'm going to go back to my niece. when my niece got ready to go to school, what I did was wrote a letter on her behalf and said, I'll be graduating Chesterfield High School in June, plan to attend your college in this particular major, and would like to take as many courses as you would accept from Northeastern Technical College. Would you please send me a list? They sent me back a nice letter with all of the classes in it. You know, different colleges have different practices. For example, Francis Marion. Francis Marion has a policy, if you attempt the class there, you must complete it there. We had one student trying to badmouth us, and it was simply because she started an accountant there and she dropped it. She came to us over the summer, took that accountant, and got ready to transfer it back. It was just simply their policy. It's not that our classes won't transfer. Different colleges have different rules. So, you know, the best thing I can tell you to do is, if you want to take some classes, stick with one of our college transfer programs, but better yet, take a minute, write to the college and ask them to send you a letter verifying which classes they will accept for transfer credit. Okay? A lot of students, just to keep their life scholarship, take classes with us over the summer so that they can keep, you know, because with the life scholarship, basically, you gotta have 30 credits and a B average. There are some classes that are considered remediation or developmental courses that life doesn't cover. So, you know, they take classes with us over the summer. We have probably students from every bit 40 campuses taking classes with us over the summer. 40 different colleges. People really have taken advantage, and, you know, I encourage everyone, take advantage of what's available in your backyard, and that's Northeastern Tech, you know. A lot of places wish they had that available, okay? Take advantage of that dual credit experiment program by taking some classes while you're in high school, because again, this will help reduce how many classes you're taking. We're hoping by the year 2022, that students will be marching, high school students will be marching across the stage with not only a high school diploma, but guess what? A 2-year associate degree. So guess what? That's just like me. I got 2 associate degrees from Northeastern as well as another program. When I transferred to Coker, I started my 3rd year. So I saved myself in private school costs 2 years, okay, by taking those classes. So it's a tremendous savings. You know, what it might cost you to go take one class at Francis Marion might mean most of our tuition charge for a full-time student. It's just that expensive. From Clemson for a semester, I could get a bill for my son for over $10,000 easily. It's expensive, so save as much as you can by taking, you know, what you can locally. Over the, like I said, over the Christmas break or whatever. Over the, you're about to graduate. Let's say you haven't taken any classes with us. Guess what? What are you doing this summer? You need to take some classes. If you want to take some classes over the summer, you're filling out the 2018-19 FAFSA form. I need to point that out. When you go to that FAFSA.gov website, and it's on this sheet at the very top, FAFSA.gov, there are 2 financial aid forms out there. There's one for the 2018-19 year, which covers right now. But if it's for next fall, you're filling out the 2019-20 FAFSA form. Okay? All right. You all take care, and thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to talk with you. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Marshall. On behalf of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Chesterfield County Alumni Chapter, we would like to present you with this token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
And we'd also like to post with some pictures for you.
Thank you.
Don't leave. You stretch, because now you get you some snacks. There's Mountain Dew Pepsi water in the cooler. Snacks. The next part, you got 5 minutes if you gotta go to the bathroom. And Ms. Chris
Crystal Starks will be coming to show y'all and give you some tips to make those good high scores on that ACT and or the SAT, whichever one you guys are planning to take. There's some strategies that she's going to share with you. And she's a trained Aspire educator. And Aspire, that's a program that where facilitators learn to teach strategies for taking those tests. It's through the Princeton system, the ones that create the actual tests. Well, she's trained, so she knows exactly what to tell you to look for and how to make those high scores. Okay? So you want to take a short break and come back. You'll be
5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, please.
In other words, you're gonna have to use a parent, and, you're going to use, parent that has provided you with financial support with family living together, okay? That's who they're gonna be using in the past before, okay?
Is it okay? We have a website.
If you have any questions, just join your class before. I'm on the road.
So, like, what they're doing right now, what happens at we have a dual enrollment coordinator who's on email list for all. And, you can call them,
y'all got these snacks and food for y'all to eat now. Shop.
okay? So, questions about the money?
they have you apply.
I still gotta apply for coaching for
Okay. Okay. When you do your financial aid form, just put all those students to get the results. Yeah. I think it's up to 10 to start off with. Yeah, but one day next week at the latest, you need to go to work and get it done. Both of you need to go to the financial aid form. I'm at the college, y'all. Got problems, y'all.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be in Central High School from 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock Monday. Yeah, bring your parents, bring tax return, we'll help you get, we're there from 4 to 6. Okay? All right, great. Yeah, I got some that said they was gonna be following I'm actually gonna help them actually do that, and get that. So,
She don't know what
I'm
about
about
that.
to say it's always, we have to educate them one at a time.
no, I'm not going all over. Some of
They all have brothers and sisters right behind, you We got people over the age of 26, that got 26, 26, getting ready to, that we've had. Did you like that?
Okay, students, we're gonna start back now with the ACT, SAT portion. Okay? All right, Ms. Crystal Starks, answer the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Starks, and I actually work in Union County, North Carolina, with 4-H. And today, I'm just going to talk to you all about some good tips and strategies for mastering the ACT. I'll give you some information about the SAT, but my expertise is mainly on the ACT. So just a little bit of an overview of what we'll discuss. We'll talk about the importance of standardized tests. We're going to compare again the ACT and the SAT. And then also I'm going to give you all some best practice strategies that I use with students whenever I do my Aspire program. And if that's something that you all might be interested in, I know Union County is probably about, well, where I work at, it's about 45 minutes away from here. But you can still participate in this program, and I plan on offering it in the springtime and also during the summer. So before I even begin, I just want to do a show of hands. So raise your hand if you agree to the statement that I will share, and don't raise your hand if you don't agree, okay? So raise your hand if you agree, don't raise your hand if you don't. All right. So raise your hand if you agree that you know what you want to be when you grow up. Raise your hand if you agree that you believe tests are an accurate reflection of your academic career. And raise your hand if you believe that learning strategies will help you master the test. Raise your hand if you get nervous taking tests. And raise your hand if you believe that if you fail a test, or you fail to study a test, then you will fail it. So if you don't study, then you will fail it. Would anyone like to kind of expand on any of those thoughts, especially the standardized test being a reflection? Do you all believe that that is a reflection of your whole academic career?
Some people just don't test.
Right, right. And I was one of those. My GPA was awesome, but my standardized test score was terrible. But that's because I didn't know like really great strategies to help me to process and go through the test. So hopefully these strategies that I will share with you all will help you all to do that, so that you'll kind of release all that anxiety and feeling, and you will feel more confident about it. But there's some importance to the standardized test as far as colleges and universities. So the main thing that they use them for is to help with making admission decisions. So every year, colleges have to choose a certain number of students that they can allow into their freshman class. And they use the standardized testing as a score, or at least as a weight to making that decision. And also, especially for small liberal arts schools, they rely more so on personal statements, so they don't focus as much on the standardized testing as they do the overall person, which is really great. So whenever you start thinking about universities that you want to go to, do keep that in mind, like what will they focus on? Who can tell me some schools that some of y'all are interested in? Okay, which other ones?
Wingate,
Wingate,
Coastal Carolina.
Coker, okay. Georgia State, okay. San Luis, okay. Newberry, all right. Clemson, yeah. I went to Winthrop University. At the time, it was a little bit smaller than it is now, but they focus more so on my GPA and really the overall admission, so not as heavily on my standardized testing score, but it definitely did play a factor. So my GPA was really high, but I needed to provide them with extra information before they can make that final decision. But I was a good student as far as academic wise, however my testing score just wasn't that great. So again, just some ideas of how that weight looks for, again, small liberal arts colleges. So that would be like Coker College or Lander. And even, I would say, Wingate kind of looks at the overall picture. But larger state schools, so you're looking at like USC, I would even say like Clemson, they're going to definitely look at like your standardized testing a little bit more, just because the number of students that are applying might be a greater number also. So I'll just kind of keep that in mind. And also you can look on those colleges to find out exactly how they weigh things. What is it that they're looking for when they are admitting students? Like how much does each area kind of count for? And also they're given an option for a personal statement. If you're a really great writer, do consider that, because if you're not a great tester, you can use that personal statement to really reflect who you are as a person, which is, I feel like, a really great opportunity for you all. So one of the sheets that I have, it is a comparison of the ACT versus SAT. I think that one's the white sheet that's on your table. So some main things just to keep in mind, the ACT, the questions are a little bit more straightforward. So do you all, who's taking the ACT sometime soon? Like within the next couple of months? Like December? But but you can guess, well, so if you guess on the ACT, you don't lose points for it. So ideally, you want to be able to answer as many questions as possible. The average score is about a 20.8, so I would say that would be like a solid goal for you to try to reach. The SAT, it can be a little bit tricky, so there's a penalty for guessing. I remember I took an SAT prep course, and they told us if you don't know the answer, just don't answer it, instead of guessing, because it will hurt you. So just keep that in mind whenever you're making that decision. The average score on the sheet, so the sheet is going to be more relevant than, or at least current in my slide, this one right here. But the average score is a 1060. So it's a little bit lower than what it was then. And then just some main overviews. And this right here is just kind of the comparison. If you ever kind of wonder, so for the ACT, it's in this 20 range, and the SAT is a 1020 or 1050. So it's kind of cool to see how everything compares from one test to the other as far as its range. But the ACT, so with or without writing,
Is that all 3 scores combined for the SAT?
this doesn't include the writing.
Oh.
Yes, that one doesn't include the writing. Because the writing is optional for both the ACT and the SAT. So the ACT they're both about the same amount of time, between 2 hours and 55 minutes to 3 hours. So for both of that, so you'll be spending the same amount of time on it. For math, it's all calculator as far as the ACT is concerned. For the SAT, there's a calculator portion and then there's a no calculator portion. And then you can just look over at the different times, the differences, also the questions. The ACT has about more questions, it looks like. Yeah. The ACT has more questions than the SAT. And again, it's range and cost. And what's really neat is on this sheet, it's the last page, or second to last page, there's this little quiz. So if you're kind of wondering which one you should do, let's all just kind of take a moment to complete this quiz. If you need something to write with, there's some pencils over here. And then just hang on to them because we'll be using them later. So has everyone kind of done that sheet? Done? So, based on the number of agrees or disagrees, so if you have more disagree, then you would likely prefer the ACT over the SAT. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't taken the SAT, then probably think about doing that also. But it's important whenever you're taking these tests that you understand goals. Everything is a score and everything has a range as far as each of those subjects. So for myself, again, I went to Winthrop University, so it was important for me to have an idea of what score I needed in order to get in. So if I know their average score is 23, for the ACT and SAT is a 1080, I knew, at least from the ACT side, what I needed my score to be. And I have some averages for some of the other schools in the area. So there's Clemson, I have USC, South Carolina State, Francis Marion Coker College, Coastal Carolina, College of Charleston, Fayetteville State, Johnson C. Smith University, and NC State University. So if you're thinking about any of those schools, it's good to have a general idea of what you're looking at as far as schools. And again, you can look on their websites too, because Admission does a really great job in sharing that information for you all so that you can have a better chance of getting into those schools. And if y'all want to, you can take a picture of the slide too. So now I'm going to move on to the green sheet, in which we're going to share some tips for the ACT. So this is the really important part. There are some main strategies that the ACT has, and it is those 5 that they use for the most part. Food is what we call it. It is the personal order of difficulty. So when you're looking at a question or all the questions, you kind of want to skim. It's like, okay, this looks like a hard question. Yeah, I'll wait to do that one. And then you want to find your easiest ones first, work through those, and then go to the next set of order of difficulty and ideal. Your last one, you want to use your letter of the day, which I will explain now. So also, just making sure you're pacing yourself. Again, if you use a personal order of difficulty, so again, your hardest questions are last, then it will help you to pace yourself so that you're not spending so much time on that one really difficult question. It might be number 1 versus a really easy question that's number 10. Especially if you know the answer, then definitely do that. Using PO is a process of elimination, which I'm sure you all probably do in class often. Like, okay, ABC, which one do I know it is not? And mark out that, and then just choosing which one's going to be the best option. And then the other strategy is called now, later, or never questions. So for the now, again, those are going to be your easy questions. It ties into the personal order of difficulty. You're going to do your easy questions first, the ones where you might need to do a little bit of work to it, and then your never are going to be questions that you really just don't know. And again, for the ACT, there's no penalties for you guessing. So that's going to bring me to letter of the day. The ACT has 8 letters that they use. A, B, C, D, and then it's, I think it's F, yep, F, G, and H. So they skip E. And every time you want to have at least which one is going to be your letter of the day. What is going to be your general letter that you're going to use? So mine is always C. C is for crystal. So it's going to be C, or it's going to be that third, whichever one's that third letter. So it's going to be between C and H. If I don't know an answer, and I know it's going to take too long for me to figure it out, I will choose C or H. Does that make sense? And that already kind of helps relieve, again, that timing part, because I think that's the hardest part for you all. Would y'all agree? Like timing, and whenever you hear, okay, time's running up, we have like 5 minutes left, and we have to do that. As a proctor, I have to let you all know when it's getting close to time. And I feel like that right there is probably the biggest part. Do y'all have any questions about any of these basic strategies? Yes.
I think I was told to answer every question. Don't really
Yes. Because there's no penalty for guessing. So that never, that's when you want to use your letter of the day. So again, if it's hard, I don't know it, and there's no way I can even figure out that answer, it's going to be a C. Yep. Yeah, no, that SAT, you can leave it blank. Yes.
We were told the last time on the SAT, when I took it back in August, that to answer every question on the SAT.
Yeah. Oh, well, it could have changed then. That part might have changed.
Because they said it would count all for incorrect, or no, it would count all for blank answers, but try to do your best guess.
Okay.
That's just what it was in August.
Yeah, and they change it all the time, so y'all could be very much the right. So you can. Yeah. Okay. So if you don't already, sign up for the Princeton Review, because they'll also have a lot of updates for you all. Because they're constantly changing the test, and they're trying to make it align a little bit more so that there's no true difference between the SAT and the ACT. So that means you can use those strategies too for the SAT. What other questions do you have about these tips and strategies?
I got a question, just based on what he said. Okay, so, but on the SAT, you said they said, don't leave anything blank, but did they count it against you if you got it wrong?
That's what they told, what the proctor said was, when you're getting close to time, make sure to fill in every answer, because I'd assume it'd count against you if you left it blank.
But if you get it, but if you bubble in some,
They don't count against you.
but the SAT it don't either now.
I guess I think when I took it a couple years back, it was the way they said leave it blank. But when I took it the last time, they said don't leave anything blank.
Oh,
I just thought you got a certain number of points of what you got right, and if you got it wrong, like, you didn't take off the points, you just build up the number.
Oh, right, so just based on whatever you got right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it wouldn't hurt then to use that same kind of principle of just making sure you fill in everything. All right. So in the English portion of the ACT, it's 60 minutes long. The English is 45 minutes long, based on the current updates. But there's still 75 questions, which is a lot to get through. And some strategies for the English portion is called the 4 C's, and that's complete, consistent, clear and concise. So, complete, the main thing they want to make sure is that you know what is a complete sentence. So you're going to look at those complete sentences, and if it's not, then you know there's something wrong with that statement. If there's any type of an incomplete idea that can't stand on its own sentence, then you want to look at that also. And then also stop punctuations. So that's going to be your period, semicolon, comma, fanboys, which are your comma, question mark, and exclamation point. So you want to make sure that those are all used in complete sentences. That is the main goal. There's going to be a lot of run-ons in the ACT or incomplete sentences often, and that's pretty much what they want to make sure is that you know what's a complete sentence. Low punctuation is going to be either a comma or no. So you want to make sure again that it is complete and it is not a run-on sentence. And then the blinking yellows, that's going to be your comma uses. Make sure there's no comma twice. If there is a comma, do it need a additional word like and or but? And I have all this in the tips and tricks. I'm just kind of going through that portion for the English part. And then the next part of it is the, again, clear, consistent, and concise. So the correct answer choice is always consistent. So you want to make sure that it makes sense. Again, it's clear, so even just reading it, like, okay, does this actually make sense grammatically? And even just logically, whenever I read it, does it make sense to me? And then concise, make sure that there's no errors. So I have an example. This question says, I know that in the late afternoon, shortly before it is time to quit work, there is an abrupt decrease in productivity. So our options are no change, afternoon, semicolon, shortly, afternoon, it is shortly, afternoon, comma, shortly. So as part of our basic tips and strategies, we'll start with PO, which is our process of elimination. Which one do we know it is not?
No change.
No change? So that means there's something wrong with it, right? I do agree. What else?
C is no.
C? C is not it? I believe it is. All right. B and D are two options. Who knows the answer? Semicolon? D? All right, raise your hand if you think it's B. Raise your hand if you think it's D. So the answer is D, and the reason why, these two are the same thing, the same exact answer. So that period in between afternoon and shortly is the same if you included a semicolon. It's two separate complete statements. So those are the same identical questions, but comma shortly makes it, because that's just a statement. I know that in the late afternoon, comma, shortly before it is time to quit work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next example. Soon the hotel served as a beacon of artists drawn to its creative atmosphere. All right, so let's use a strategy. Let's do process of elimination. Which one is it? Is there a problem?
Yes.
All right, so we know F is not it, right?
Yep.
What, that leaves us with G, H, and J. Which one
J.
do you think it is?
J alone.
J? All right, so raise your hand if you think it's G. H, J. And the answer is J. So soon the hotel serves as a beacon of artists drawn to its creative atmosphere.
Just because in the past tense, but you're drawn. Drawn makes it past tense, so it
Yeah.
would be served.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I already did.
Yeah, and I would say too, when you get those like that, you're gonna have to look at the paragraph to see if they're in past or present.
Right, and that's when you're looking to make sure that it's clear, consistent, and concise. You want to make sure the tense fits everything else, including what's underlined. Does that make sense? So make sure, even though you see that underlined word, because I would have typically just looked at, okay, soon the hotel serves, and not really paid attention to any other verbs that could be in there. But you want to make sure that the tense is the same. All right. So in math, do y'all have any questions on that part? I have some examples too that we'll go through and discuss. All right, so math part, so 60 minutes, there's 60 questions to the math portion. The first 20 are gonna be the easiest in the ACT. From 20 to 40, those are gonna be medium, and from 40 to 60, those are gonna be the hardest. So again, based on those strategies, you know, your process of your personal order of difficulty, I would definitely use that. Let me make sure I can answer that first 20 right, because I only need an average of about a 20 in each section, just to at least meet the average score for the ACT. But if I'm pretty sure on that medium, let me get up to that 40. But if you know 40 through 60 are gonna be your hardest, and you don't have time to do them, go on and do letter of the day. Or you can do process of elimination if you wanna actually try it. Does that sound kind of weird? But that will definitely help. As soon as you kind of set a goal, okay, this is what I need for each section. How can I make sure that I'm at least getting that so that I can focus on the questions that I do know? So, some math strategies. The first one is ballparking. And that one's when you're looking at the answer and you're really kind of guessing it. And then the other one is plugging in. So you're plugging in numbers to see if any of those answers kind of come true. And then PETA is the same thing, just plugging in the answers. So that was the answers. Plugging in is you using just general numbers to see if it's going to actually come through. And then order of operations, you all know that. What do y'all call it now? Like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So definitely that's going to be in there. Being able to convert any word problems into a math problem, which are things that you all already do for the most part in schools. So I have a math example here. So what can you already tell that this question is about?
It's gonna be factoring.
Yeah, and it's the order of operations, right? So you gotta break it down. All right. So let's do a process of elimination. Which one is it not?
C.
C?
That one's way too big.
All right, so we know it's not C. Which other one can we take out? A? Yes, we can take out A. So that, take out B. Yep, taking out B. So that leaves us with D and E. Okay. All right, so who thinks it's D?
No.
All right, who thinks it's E? Who's not really sure? The answer for that one was E.
I'd be 10 minutes late.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're doing your letter of the day, like say you got to that math section, the last 20, or and your letter today is C, do you do C for every one of those, or do you change it up any, or
You want to stay consistent with that C. So for me, it would be C and H, whichever one's that third letter. C and H. And the probability of it, there's a percentage, but it's likely at least a couple of those questions are going to be a C or H. So unless you want like a full thing, again, that's where you're setting that goal. And thinking about how many of those questions that you need to answer in order to get into your school. But I would see it. C and H all the way. All right. So for those who've taken the ACT or the SAT, is reading like the most difficult part as far as timing? Yeah. So for the reading portion of the ACT, there is so the reading portion is only 35 minutes and there's 40 questions in the reading. So for one, you have multiple passages and you have to work your way through those passages. So some strategies for the reading is for you to preview it. In every reading passage, you will at least see a general idea of what that story is about. So you know if one of the answers, the story is about bees, and one of the answers is talking about a tree. Those two don't even relate, so you can easily kind of eliminate that. And then working the passage, so looking through those lead words. One thing you don't want to do is read the passage.
Skim through it.
Yes. You want to be able to skim through it and look for those lead words. Go to your answers first. So go to your answers, look at your answers, and then look for those pieces that's actually in your passage. That would definitely save you on a lot of time. If you read the passage first and then go to the answers, you would have already missed the answers. And now you have to go back through and read it all over again to find those answers. Does that make sense? So again, looking at those questions, ideal, most of the questions will tell you around which line to look at. It will give you a range of where the answer could be, but you want to look at least a line or two before and a line or two after, but it will give you the range, or it will say in line 5 where the word is underlined. And then again, working the answer, using your answer choices to help you find the best way for it. So science is 35 minutes. Science is 35 minutes, and you have 53 questions in the science part. So there's going to be an order of different passages in the science portion. One's going to have like charts and graphs, another one will have different experiments, and then there's also the fighting scientists. But again, it's going to be like trendy information for you. So one thing that you want to do as far as a strategy is looking at the figures. So working through those figures as if it's a math problem. And then also, you want to work the question. So looking at the question, if you have a passage that you have to read, being able to kind of skim through that again. And then make predictions, because you want to draw to conclusions just based on the science information or the question. And then also working the answer. So if you don't know the answer, but there's a good guess in what you could do, just based on what you know that science experiment is, then it can definitely help. All right, and then writing. Again, writing is optional to do, and you do have to pay extra if you plan on doing the writing part. So you have to pay extra for writing, and there is a score that is ranked for the writing portion. And just some strategies, knowing the range and how they're scoring it. And also see if your schools even require you to take the writing part. Who knows if a school they're interested in does require it?
I don't know that for certain majors or if you know if you're writing.
Yes. If you're a really great writer, I would definitely write. Just because you know that it's going to be a better reflection of your overall score. Yeah.
What about an English major or something?
Yes, definitely so.
Is your writing graded differently than the test, or is it all?
It's graded differently. So there's, they have a whole different score that they do. But
It's not added into your overall score?
yes, it is, and then it's like, I wish I had you. But it's like, it's an additional portion to it.
So it gives you another section or something else?
Yeah.
Like, because I've taken the SAT with writing and without, and like, one time when we got to writing, and then the next test, I didn't take the writing, gave me another math section. Is it like that?
No.
It's not like
So
that?
once you're done, you're done.
Okay.
Because it actually, the writing portion actually extends the time.
Okay.
So otherwise, like for the SAT, it has the time on here. So without the writing, it's 2 hours and 55 minutes, but with the writing, it's 3 hours and 35 minutes. So it's really a matter if you want to spend that extra time doing the writing portion. But you definitely know your school is looking for it, then do consider doing the writing portion. So what I have is some real sample questions from the ACT for you all to kind of work on. We have about 15 minutes, so I am going to give you all about 10, and then we're going to go through the answers. Okay. They're going to look at the full total. So if you're really bad at Western math, you want to make sure that you master that one subject. So that's the average reflection of your math. So for me, math is like not my strongest point. So I will make sure my reading, my writing, well, my like the English part is higher, so that it can average out that low math part.
then a lot of schools do that super score, where they're looking at the top, well, like if, yeah, like if you take it 2 or 3 times, they'll use the highest ones to get that average.
Yeah.
What's the question?
5 minutes. We have 1 minute remaining. So what I will do is just read through the answers. And if y'all have any questions on any of them, then we'll discuss them at the end, okay? So for the English portion, question 16, the answer is F. 17, C. 18, F. 19 is D as in David. 20 is H. 21 is C. 22 is G. On the math portion, question number 3 is B. 4 is J. 5 is D as in David, J. Number 6 is J. And number 7 is B. For the reading portion, number 1 is D as in David, number 2 is H, number 3 is B as in boy, number 4 is J, number 5 is D as in David, number 6 is G, number 7 is D as in David, number 8 is H, number 9 is B, number 10 is F. On the science portion, question number 12 is H. Question number 13 is B. Number 14 is F. Number 15 is B as in boy. Number 16 is F. Number 17 is D as in David. Number 18 is J. Then I have them writing here just as an example if you want to work on that. Just so you can see what some of the prompts look like if you haven't actually worked on or taken the ACT in the writing portion. Do y'all have any questions about any of those? No questions? So guys, that's all I have. If you're interested in doing the Aspire program, I have a sign-up sheet right here. Again, it will take place in Union County, but it's about 40 minutes away from here. But I go through all those strategies more in depth in the different sections. So, but that's all I have for you all.
You have a question?
When is the Aspire program, on what day?
So it's a series. It's about 8 weeks long. You will go through 4 different tests. You do an initial diagnostic kind of ACT test, and then there's 2 other tests, and then you take 1 final. So pretty much this is tracking your progress. So you can see what you did well in what areas, and then how to improve. But my goal is to start it in the spring.
Does it cost anything?
There is a cost. It is, I think it's $100, but if you go to every session, then you actually get that money back. So you get it back in the end, which is really cool. Pretty much it's just the buy-in. And also there's scholarships available for it. And if you're interested in NC State, then that's a really great opportunity because it's a partnership.
If anyone like anything on their way out, get something, drink, chips, candy, whatever you would like. Thanks for coming out.
I'm gonna call it for free. I will have an online sign up. You can write down your information and around that you and some of y'all post for a photo with me and Ms. Starks and Miss Adrian. Young man. This lady, before you gonna take a picture for